This is the Night Wolf howling at you, and today we're going to take a look at the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, Shera, most powerful woman in the universe figure, part of the cartoon collection. Although I still think it should say Shera, Princess of Power, instead of most powerful woman in the universe, but obviously they're trying to go along with the He-Man tagline of most powerful man in the universe. This is part of the wave for the 40th anniversary of Shera. As you can see the logo in the corner. And it has Hordak in the background of Castle Grayskull. I'm kind of surprised they didn't put the background of like the Crystal Castle on some of these, but then again, this is still going more with He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, and they're not doing the Princess of Power branding on the packaging. So if we turn to the back here, we see Shera battling against Octavia, a Horde Trooper with Hawk behind her. God, I hope I got that name right. I hope I got all those names right. And I wonder if we'll get some of those figures as well. The problem kind of with the way this is going about is that, previously with the Origins figures, they were working in the Sunman stuff in the waves. So the fourth figure in the wave was a Sunman figure. And as I have complained previously, the new waves are only doing 3 figures. And this one, I believe, had 2 Sheras. And I think this is going to be an issue in the future. One, again, with the extra characters maybe sitting on the shelves, so to speak. But also, if we're just doing waves of 3 figures, working in that Princess of Power figure is going to be a lot more difficult. On the other hand, this is probably also the first full wave of cartoon collection figures as well, because usually it was 2 cartoon collection figures with 2 fan favorite figures. And I'm wondering if the fan favorite thing is over with now. But anyway, let's go ahead and open her up and take a good look at her. Shera comes with her shield from the cartoon series. Ironically, I don't know if I'm using that word properly in this case, but this is actually her sword transformed into a shield, meaning that overall you should not have her and holding both the shield and the sword at the same time. And thank goodness they have a rounded grip on there instead of that stupid square grip they keep on using with Teela. Does Mattel hate Teela for some reason? We also have her sword of protection here with the paint job on the jewel. It's also, man, this definitely looks like a sticker here, Like, that is a long, sharp-ish point. I mean, it is a soft plastic still, but that's actually kind of a wicked-looking weapon here. It's kind of interesting, too, because the sword of protection for Shera and the sword of power for He-Man are supposed to be the same size, but they never actually do that with the toys, Because it just wouldn't look right to have the He-Man sized sword with Shera. Figure-wise, let's take a look at that head sculpt there. Looks like they did a pretty good job. She's got those really kind of... I'm not sure how you would describe those eyebrows exactly. But I do remember they did have that kind of like tight peak on the cartoon series as well. So they did a good job mimicking that. I do feel like her hair is a bit shorter than what it was in the cartoon series, though. Unfortunately, they gave us a rubber cape instead of a cloth one, which I'm not a big fan of the rubber capes. Never have been. Never will be. But I guess they just kind of wanted it to look more cartoony. So that's probably why they did it. I do think they could have made her lips redder because I want to say in the series, she definitely had a bright red lips on her. So this kind of more muted color here is a bit of a disappointment in that regard. She does have a brand new body here as well. So they didn't just give us, a rehash of some body with a harness over it. It is a new sculpt. And I mean, it is uniquely a Shera sculpt. So it's not like they're going to be using it for a bunch of other characters. Unfortunately, the skirt piece here, which I'm wondering if it'll come off or not with the legs, you can see this kind of gap here. So the little bit of the bottom part of her symbol that is part of her skirt does have a significant break in the design. And maybe they should have painted a little bit at the top of that just to avoid that break. Also, she's got some freaking paint on her gauntlet here. And I actually ordered 2 of these Sheras. I got this one came from Entertainment Earth, and I ordered one from Amazon, which will probably be the international package, I'm sure. But I did that specifically in the hopes that we will get a Battleground Tila where I can swap the heads to create that Valkyrie figure that I did in the Classics series. But articulation-wise on here, her head is on a ball joint. The hair does interfere quite a bit, though, with the spinning of it. You can force it all the way around, however, still. Though she can look down easily enough. Looking up's not particularly easy. And then, of course, on the side, she's kind of forced in that position because of the hair. The arms, we can hinge up and down. We can spin. The hair, again, kind of gets in the way, but you can force it through. And obviously, if you just kind of pull it out a little bit, it doesn't interfere. But, you know, who wants to do it that way, right? Elbow is at the single hinge. It goes a little bit backwards, but does give us basically a 90-degree bend. She's got a new arm gauntlet here. I don't think this was used as teal, but I'm not 100% sure. As it does come to as a surprise to me that I do not have a cartoon version of Tila sitting around in this room, even though I have basically every other Tila that they have put together in here. So we get the wrist spin and the... She actually has up and down articulation on this wrist. Is it the same with the other? So this is interesting. So she has up and down articulation on this wrist, and she has in and out on this wrist. The obvious reason for that, of course, is, you know, so she can hold her magic sword aloft, which I think is great. I'm glad they did this because they really need to do that with Adora, and they really need to do that with Adora when and if. They really need to make sure they do that with Adora if and when they make her. Because obviously we want her to be able to hold her sword up also. And I believe Prince Adam could do that too from the cartoon collection. It's one of those features that's been missing from the Origins line. So aside from that, of course, we do have a spin at the waist. We can kick up so far that way. We can kick back so far. And we can kick out and do the splits like that. There is a slit in the skirt on both sides to allow for the movement of the legs. The knee has a... Oh, shoot, that's going to be a tight joint, isn't it? Her knee has a significantly tight joint. And it does the less than 90-degree bend that we usually get with the figures. Although I think the male cartoon collection figures actually had a better bend than this on them. But I think on the thinner female legs, it was harder to replicate that. She has a boot cut. And to note here, shit. I just wanted to pull that off right away. You'll note that there is a significant amount of overage on the boot cut to make it look like it goes around her leg the way it should from the cartoon. So that actually looks pretty nice. But it has a tight joint. And of course we have the hinge and the spin at the bottom. And they did give her a pretty significant heel, which I wish I had the Tila here, or I guess even the Evil Lyn from the cartoon collection, because I want to say neither one of them had that significant of a heel. So that's kind of a nice addition. I may have to double check that at home and make a note here if either one of them had it. The problem is a lot of my figures are still kind of packed aside because of the work I'm doing on the room. which has dropped off significantly because I haven't had any time off to really work on it. But let's answer the couple questions here. The skirt piece does come all the way off, and she is wearing Tila's bottoms. So we can go ahead and put her together like that if we want. That actually looks pretty good too, to be honest. Just as a quick supplemental note on this, I think what they should have done is, you know, they have the little hem here on the side of the bottoms. I think they should have painted those gold too, so you could actually have her dressed like this and it would look nicer. And I know they're all about removing deco to save money, but I think sometimes they really should just go ahead and keep it in there, or put it in there in this case, because I think that would have looked actually really nice to have. And her cape pops off with her little choker there being the base of the cape for her neck. I am just dropping everything, aren't I? Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at the comic. Usually I do that before the articulation, but we've already gone over this with Ram Man where I actually did the reading instead. So if you want to hear me just read off the comic, which might be a little bit torturous, you can watch my Ram Man review. But so apparently after the defeat of Hordak on Etheria before, he is returning. Shera contacts He-Man and the other Masters, and I think this is about the only time we actually really see Ram Man, even though he's part of this wave, because the Horde is returning to Etheria. Is it just me, or does this planet up at the top here look like it's got Unicron in the middle of it? Is this supposed to be another transform? Actually, isn't that the planet the mutants are from on the New Adventures? Are we referencing other series with this artwork? I'm going to have to enlarge those images to show you guys in this video, since last time I concentrated on reading and not actually just reviewing the comic, right? Other than to say it was kind of dumb. So Hordak wants to use this opportunity, though, to take over Etheria and then Eternia, because he wants to go after the Masters while they're weakened after all the Snake Men. So I guess we're supposed to have a big Horde revival here, right? Even though most of the Horde has already been released. But this is the cartoon collection, and most of the Horde has not been released in the cartoon collection yet. And boy, I can't wait to get to that Hordak figure, because God, stupid decisions were made with that one. But it's not out yet, so... Well, it's kind of funny that, you know, it's the Great Rebellion, right? But once they took over the planet, they're no longer a rebellion. They're the actual, like, planetary authority, right? So why would they still be called the Great Rebellion? Then we have the creepy-ass little vehicle thing that Bo is on there. We do see Queen Angela. I'm not sure who's actually in the corner down there. Oh, I think that's Perfuma. Of course, they're doing basically a cameo from almost every character from the Princess of Power in this comic, you know, where they can. Although I don't see my favorite Princess of Power character anywhere in here. So if you want to review this comic and take a look at it, go ahead in comments below to see if you can figure out who my favorite Princess of Power character actually is. And it's on the hero side, by the way. She also only had like 1 or 2 appearances in the cartoon series. Unfortunately, we do get to this point, though, where the Masters gather, and I guess we do have a second view of Ram Man. But Hordak has blocked the dimensional gateway, so they cannot go over and help. So I guess technically we're kind of at a cliffhanger ending in this comic, aren't we? It looks like it didn't take long for Hordak to almost basically take control over Etheria again, as they are on the gateways of the Crystal Castle. So I guess the next wave of comics will have to continue this story, won't they? Or was this another one that got shortened because it was too long? On the back of it, of course, again, we see Shera, the most powerful woman in the universe. Ram Man, the heroic human battering ram, who, even though he is part of this wave, got very little attention. And Montana, the evil spy with the pop-out eyes, who actually also got significantly little attention. And just as a quick comparison, We do have the second, well, we have the fan favorite version of the Origins Shera. They're basically using the same gold color, at least on the headdress, which is good because that bright yellow they used originally was terrible on the Shera figure. Actually, it's kind of amazing because this head sculpt is really good for the cartoon version, and this is actually a really good match for the actual toy. So they did a really good job at those head sculpts for their specific purposes, right? But you can definitely see the huge difference between the two of them. And it is kind of a shame that they didn't actually put gems in the chests. Also, there's a huge difference in the sword designs too. Our cartoon collection, oh, let's put this way, I guess. Our cartoon collection is definitely a much longer sword. And honestly, it's almost too long, whereupon the one for the Origins Shera is probably too short. So that's kind of funny. And obviously hers is designed to look more like He-Man's in the Origins line, and hers like He-Man's in the cartoon collection. So they did a good job on that. But yeah, seeing these two swords together really does draw out how much shorter this one is and should be longer. I don't know if Barbarossa Customs has any plans to create, or if anybody in for that matter has plans to create a longer version of this sword, but it would be really cool to see if they did. They actually put the pegs in the heels on her too, so that's kind of interesting. I hope that doesn't get damaged in the long run. But there you go. There's our look at the Shera from the cartoon collection. I think they did a really good job on her, aside from that one issue with the way the skirt sits at her torso with the color of the symbol on her chest, or I guess technically on her stomach. But overall, I think we did a good job on this. I could make a comment about how the chest should probably be a little bit bigger, because again, remember the cartoons in the 80s did tend to exaggerate female features more to have them stand out more from the male characters, which they did that on the comic too. They definitely exaggerated her chest more. And actually, this is the same artist who's been doing the Masters of the Universe stuff, because that's the same kind of logo down there. But like, they're not, I feel like it's not quite as stylized in the cartoon collection ones as it was in the Origins ones. You know, because it didn't stand out to me at the time until I picked this up again and saw the name there. So I don't know why they're not bringing this game over to the Origins line, you know what I mean? But I hope you enjoyed this look at our cartoon collection Shera. Would have been nice if they had given us a cloth cape for her, and would have been nice if they'd given us a bigger set of breasts. But at least it doesn't look like they flatten them like they do in some of the other figures, and definitely, honestly, they do stand out better than they did in the Origins line, which they gave her basically a uniboob. Thank you for watching. But of course, as always, I'd like to know what you have to say about this in the comments below. And are you a fan of them giving us the actual hand that allows her to actually hold her sword aloft more properly than what we get from the regular collection of figures? And if you enjoyed watching this, please feel free to subscribe. I'm still hoping to hit that 500 mark by the end of the year. I think it's a goal we could potentially make, as we are over 400 now. Thanks for watching. Peace and love.